Good afternoon, Malaysia, and followers from around the world. Hello, I'm Wong, your moderator for the session on the CEO's Forum, International Public Employment Forum 2021. We have with us a panel of very distinguished guests who are all experts in their own right in running their businesses, and they have great views to share with us for those of us who want to know more about how we can take this forward to 2022. This discussion intends to move forward towards 2022 in a post-pandemic era of sustainability and employability. We look forward to hearing from our guests on their practices that has been implemented in their companies, and of course, how they've been dealing with this situation for the past 2 years. With us tonight this afternoon is Dato Wira Haji Ameer Ali Mydin, who is the Managing Director of local hypermarket chain Mydin. We are all customers of his, okay. And of course, Yang Berbahagia Dato Sri Michael Teo, Chief Executive Officer of PKT Logistics Group's Sdn Berhad, which makes sure that the supply chain in Malaysia continues even in this difficult period. We have Muhammad Helmi Othman Basha, who is the Group Managing Director and of Samdabi, and Bernard Yong, Head of Strategic Marketing and Brand Experience from Masing Group Berhad. They are all people who have got very vast experience. And what we intend to do is to have a very informal discussion to talk about how their companies and they themselves have been coping with this pandemic and to sustain their businesses and how to bring it to the next level. That's 2022. We want to be optimistic. I know we live in a world of uncertainty, but let's have some optimism and some positive vibes. Gentlemen, let's give the first opening remark on how have your company been doing over the past 1 year. We keep it short. We start off with perhaps with Michael Teo.
Okay, all right, Dr. Sri. So thank you for the introduction. And basically, our financial year end finish on the 30th of September every year. So for the past 1 year, basically, we are in 2 financial year now. The 2020 financial year was bad. For the first time in our company history of 45 years, we had never gone red before, and that was the first time we went into red. That is because we think we did not do enough essential items. So our focus was very much automotive logistics and other type of logistics services. But the business that opened during pandemic, especially for the first 7 months of the pandemic onset from March, April, May, June, July, August or something like that. So automotive industry was actually shut down. So then we realized that we need to do a lot of changes, need to transform ourselves to move our direction to be more focused on essential items, or we call it COVID-proof businesses like F&B, e-commerce, FMCG, which is all essential items. So we did a bit of diversification. But in the year 2021, this year, we are looking at just a bit profit from not break even, but profit, luckily. Even though we do have a lockdown, but we learned, I think our government learned that the lockdown shouldn't be in totality until everything cannot move. So, but because of that, then we have managed to make a bit of profits. But next year, we already estimate it to be a good year. We're going to go back to our at least 80% recovery from post COVID. So that is the way what's happening to us. So it's different. Not every logistics company is the same, because we have people mistaken logistics. They think courier service is also logistics. Lorry driver, lorry transport also logistics. So we have courier, small parcel. We have the Grab Food and Panda Food and Lala Move. That is the delivery services. And then we have our logistics, which is a big parcel, the one that we need trucks to deliver and whatnot. So it's not the same. So in different industry and different vertical concentration, we all have different P&L.
Okay. Ameer?
Hi.
Ameer? Yep. Can we have hear from you how you have been coping we are coming to the towards the last quarter of the year. How did you cope this year?
Sorry, you're asking me, that is right?
Yes, Ameer, I'm asking you.
Okay, sorry. I couldn't get it. All right.
No worries.
Slow and steady. That's how much effect the pandemic has on all of us. All right. You know, I think the challenges here will be people will have to understand what does Mydin actually do.
Okay.
Because people think Mydin, hypermarket, supermarket, essential services, theoretically food, grocery buying, fresh. So we should be doing better because the demand is a demand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But people tend to forget we are actually more a property owner. It's almost like a McDonald's kind of story, you know. We're actually more property owners than actually traders because we own massive assets, whether we own it ourselves or we are leasing it from people, in which, of course, we have our own hypermarkets located. So the challenge here, there are two challenges. One is how the business doing in terms of trading. Now, when we talk about trading, generally speaking, business has gone down by 15%. Okay, you say, well, that's not too bad. You're much better off than our departmental stores. They're closed. Fair enough. But margins are affected. One, number two. And the second one is there's no end to closing down because we're always open. Always open. One COVID case, 5 COVID case, shut down, sanitize the whole building, test everybody. So it's very cost ineffective. So as far as profitability is concerned, we will have massive losses. Why? Being property owners, we actually, well, some we own the property, but we got to pay the bank, obviously. I call our bank now the Along banks, okay? Right? Because, you know, they are not very reasonable people, unfortunately, all right? And the second, we got to pay the so-called the REITs or the big-time property owners. So it is a whole cycle. The banks are not good, are not nice to them, then they are not nice to us, right? So rentals have to be paid, but then we are dealing with the smaller traders, the kiosks, the small shops and all that. And I think we have a bigger heart. How do you ask a small kiosk operator which closed for 6 months and say, sewa kena bayar? It doesn't work that way. So what we do is, whoever is closed, we give them our rental rebates. Okay. But our owners, the owners of our properties, not so nice lah. You know, the bigger you are, I think currently the heart seems to become hardened. You know, maybe they all need the lungs have hardened because of the COVID. You know, so maybe we need to put them on some oxygen, you know, concentrator to soften their heart a bit so they breathe better and they are a bit more giving away. You know, I think this is the biggest challenge. So I mean, jokes aside, times are tough, but we are lucky. We are lucky, meaning that we are not 100% closed.
Yes.
I say what we are doing currently is that basically we are doing backstroke, backstroke swimming. Okay, so you know backstroke swimming is the survival mode. One more wave, a strong wave, you are gone for good. But as long as enough energy, enough oxygen comes in, you probably can survive. And I think, let's be optimistic, like Dato just said, we will survive. Whether the politicians survive, I can't say, but we
Nobody can say, yeah.
Now we will move on to the two developers. Okay, we start off with Muhammad Helmi. Please give us your take.
Okay, for us, Dato Wong and my colleagues, of course, the first 6 months, we are in Plantation, Sanabi Plantation. So the first 6 months, just like anybody else, we didn't know what to expect. So, things were so murky. But for us, because our operations less than 50% actually in Malaysia, because we operate in downstream and upstream in about 14 countries in the world. So things in a way balance up. And obviously for us, the bigger driver of our business is the commodity price. And in the second half of 2020, the commodity price actually went up. But that alone did not solve all the problems. Of course, we were hit by, just now Dato Michael Teo mentioned about logistics. There's a lot of logistic issues in a lot of the countries that we export our products and all that. But to a large extent, for us, we were doing okay in 2020, and even right now, the commodity price, CPO price remains high. Of course, there's so many factors why that is the case. But of course, there are a lot of other issues that we face. As you know, this industry, plantation industry, we are so dependent on migrant workers, foreign workers in Malaysia. And this is, like I said just now, the advantage, because we are not only in Malaysia. Malaysia is only less than half of our land bank. We have big ones in Indonesia, in Papua New Guinea, and other places. But just for Malaysia, as you know, the industry, including ourselves, we are facing a big workers shortage. So we and other industry players, we are incurring a lot of losses now because there are not enough workers to harvest our fruits. But of course, on the other hand, this high CPO price to a large extent actually help us and the other industry players. So generally, last year, like I said, the first 6 months was very tough. Then, towards the end, things got a lot better. And this year, Alhamdulillah, I think we'll basically announce a good results for the first 6 months.
Mohammed, help me. You probably, of all the people here, you head the most diverse group. I mean, you have so many kind of businesses on your plate. How have you managed to juggle all these businesses of various different kinds, and you have it all around the world, not just Malaysia?
Okay. Obviously, for us, this is where, although it's many businesses, Dato. I mentioned just now plantation, but plantation, as you know, we are not only producing food, right? We also have a biodiesel plant that we process our palm oil into biodiesel. We also have nutrients businesses and some oleochemicals. So I think how would I say, the fact that we are what you said just now, diversified in our product offering and where we operate actually help us, right? Like I said just now, in Malaysia, the challenges are just too many to mention. It won't do justice to mention everything. But because we are well cushioned by the fact that we operate in many countries, we have many products on offer. That's actually how we can really go through this so-called pandemic. Now, of course, like I say, it's not easy, just like anybody else. We have to find our own footing. And the first 6 months, we were not to say grappling in the dark, but there are a lot of we go into uncharted territories, right? There are a lot of things that we never knew before. We had to face before, a lot of trials and errors. A lot of things, even work from home, you don't know how it can work. Obviously, you can't work from home trying to harvest the fruits in the field, right? So these are the kind of things that we had to face. But like I said, I think the fact that the diversity and where we are operating actually put us in a stronger thing. That I must say.
Okay, Bernard, we want to hear from the voice of a young man.
Thanks, Dato Sri. So, at Marsing Group, no lies. I mean, 2020 was a really challenging black swan type of year, right? So we, like everyone else, had to discard the old playbook and sort of feel along as we went along, right, and learn as we went. We did do well ultimately in 2020, relatively speaking. Marsing was still profitable. We of course had to revise some of our internal sales target, which we managed to hit, but we were profitable to the tune of around 100 million thereabouts. So still some bright sparks there. We had, in order to achieve that profitability, we had to really revamp how we did property. I don't think a lot of people think of property developers when they think of forward-looking, tech-savvy, at the cutting edge of digital marketing, right? I mean, we think of e-commerce plays, we think of FMCG, not necessarily property, which is a traditionally more bricks and mortar sort of industry. But because of the pandemic, the way of doing things, our traditional channels cease to be as effective because people can't come to you, come visit. So we had to ramp up digitally quite a bit, and thankfully we had a great team, right, at Marsing. And the culture of Marsing is such that, led by Tan Sri, we are always paranoid, we're always entrepreneurial, and we're always eager for the next thing and eager to change. So that sort of helped us keep on our toes. 2021 is shaping up to, well, let's see how the vaccination drive goes. Fingers crossed it will be as good or as smooth sailing as the government has projected, right? October, November will be opened up. But we have managed to increase our sales target as well for 2021 compared to the previous years. And after the first 2 quarters have passed, we are on track, thankfully, to hit that target. So hopefully the worst or the most uncertainty, the biggest uncertainties of the pandemic is behind us, and we can look forward to a better recovery, the whole nation-wide, right, after this. Yeah, but it's been a challenging year, to be honest.
Yes, I think all of us, every industry is affected in one way or another.
Yeah.
Now, the next question I'd like to ask is about the challenges affecting the employees, whether at the senior level, the C-suite, or just ordinary workers. Because that at the end of the day, while we can talk about profitability and sustaining the businesses, we need to take care of the employees. They are our assets, and most of them will have problems in one way or another. While the bosses have to juggle with business plans, having to pay the wages and to make sure that the business is still alive, the employees also have their own kind of problems. I'd like to hear from you gentlemen on what has it been like to deal with your fellow colleagues, your fellow staff this year and in moving forward, the challenges that your company faces. Who wants to start?
Let me start lah. Okay. So basically, all this while, my father is still in the business. My father always advised me, Michael, don't forget, save for rainy days. Save for rainy days. I always reply to him that every year you tell me the same thing. There is never sunny day to you. So this is the first time really we are facing that situation where we have to start spending money from our reserves. Because on top of losing money, we also need to spend the money from the reserve. So in terms of motivation, I think this is a time for us to show leadership to our employees, in the sense that PKT, luckily, we are all managing the whole company via Facebook. So we have this internal chat where I can go live and then everybody will be watching and then comment, give you thumbs up and all these things. So I address them what is going to happen in this pandemic, give them a bit of prediction what is going to happen. So to calm them down, and then we will do our best as an employer concerned. We will spend money and whatnot. So one of the things that I first motivated them, because during the lockdown, because we are serving essential F&B food item, we need to work. So those people who come to work, then when the news is so negative, is very demotivating. So on top of that, the wife or the wife, it will also have to work or something like that. So the children not going to school. So who's going to take care of the children at the very beginning? So we came up with hardship allowance. So to motivate them to say that, okay, everyone who came back to work, you will be paid hardship allowance so that you don't suffer because you need to find babysitter for your children and whatnot. So that is started with some happiness and say, oh, okay, right, we get hardship allowance, we come back to work, and we still need to serve and whatnot. So then, of course, then the cases started. So when we start having infection in our own office, then that is how they are looking up on you as a boss and say that, hey, so what are you going to do about this? You know, how are you going to save us? So we had to turn on our cap, take out our jacket, and then become a superhero to them and do the things that is right in order to motivate the staff to work. So we announced to the whole world what we did. Actually, I came up with newspaper, how we did a swift action of sanitizing everybody, the whole 1,000 employee of us, swap everybody, and then sanitize the whole office. And then after that, come up with corrective measure. So the corrective measure that we came up with, due to we are able to sit down together with a management team. We set up this group, we call it the PKT Crisis Management team. And then we start coming up with corrective measure. We start doing zoning. So within the office, we all have zone. So when you are in different zone, you cannot cross each other, because we will not do this mistake of no zoning at the beginning, so that we don't have to swap everybody anymore. So we came up with a lot of corrective measures. And every time when we came up with corrective measure, I will come up and address them. Address means seeing them and tell them what happened. So somewhere in May 2020, I decided to have a transformation program. Because of the uncertainty, the business went down and people are scared and whatnot. So I did a COVID-19 transformation program with my management team and my second-tier management team, about 100 of them. And we came up with a new vision for 2021 and above. So we came up with 3 new wawasan. We come up with all the corrective measures. So that was very early stage. So that after that, basically they all have a very clear direction, and we are moving towards that direction. That's all, towards our new visions that I have set up for. So this is the challenges.
Dato Ameer, you have a very huge staff workforce. Obviously, like most employees, they are very concerned with whether there will be a pay cut and whether they will still keep your job. Yours, as you said, is still open, unlike other businesses. Was it easier for you over the past 1 year in giving assurances to your staff?
I think it is the most difficult part, seriously, because not like others who can actually work from home, right? So they tend to feel maybe safer, within their home environment. They can control who they see. We are basically a retail business. Our employees face customers daily, right? So they are as fearful. I think if you remember when it first started, nobody really knew what did COVID-19, what in the world is this, right? And there was sheer panic. There was sheer panic. And the concern was from the staff is, are you sure I should be at the cashier meeting customers? People are walking in, they could be having COVID. I'm the first one to be exposed. I mean, the government talks about frontliners, Actually, I feel a nurse or a doctor in a hospital, a frontliner, is more secure because they know how to manage it. They know full mask, this is what I must do. I must sanitize my hand. I mean, like a doctor, right? I really see a patient doing all, because it is inbuilt in them. So frankly, to me, they are more secure. We are on the ground. People are walking in and out, and some wear masks. Initially people refuse to wear masks. So it's a serious challenge for us. And some people were so scared to come to work. My office people say, are you sure we should be doing this? Why don't we just shut down? Easier said than done, because this is essential. So the way we handle it, all the directors, basically me, my brothers, and whoever, we ourselves, because remember, we are past the senior citizen. We are retired, so-called not supposed to go kind of people. You say, elderly, right? Elderly. So we are the so-called elderly. I'm already 65, But but I came to my store every day. Every day, myself, my brothers, we came to our store every day to give moral support. Moral support, don't worry, we are here, we understand what you're doing. And I was walking around, I mean, not carrying things, obviously, but there to take care, to manage the customer flow, to make basically my staff understand, yes, it's something we have to do. Because in anything, in any crisis, is all people management. Whether it is a political crisis, a business crisis, it's all got to do with people management. And ours is two people management. One is our staff. It's more difficult to manage staff. We have to manage customers.
Yes.
And customers walking in, not understanding, they scold our staff, they slap our staff.
Serious? They slap your staff?
Because they throw things at our staff because they say, who the hell are you to not allow me to go to your store? And then they got parents bringing children. We say, minta maaf, we cannot bring children. Hey, the kid is yours or mine. You know, we say, but we shouldn't allow, their baby. It's my baby. Let me worry about my baby. So you see the kind of position. And I mean, who am I to say what is right or wrong for your kid, right? So it's a very difficult predicament that we have to go through. And of course, forgetting all this, we have this government that comes up with SOPs, and I would say ever-changing SOPs that nobody seems to know. Even 2 days ago, the announcement is as confusing as the earlier announcement. Right? Those who are vaccinated, 2 doses, are allowed to go in a shopping center, 2 doses. But the staff don't have to be vaccinated. It's only the customers. So then you start thinking, oh, the virus knows that they don't attack staff, they only attack customers, Okay? How do we explain to the customers walk in? We say, show me your MySejahtera. Have you got 2 doses? I'm not going to tell you. Who in the world are you to ask me questions like that? I mean, you are dealing with people, right?
Yeah.
And how do we separate? Because we are essential service. If I only take people in with 2 doses, if the guy doesn't have a 2 dose, where is he going to buy groceries? It's not business, You're not talking about money here, We're talking about the guy got to eat food,
Yes.
So it's a very thin line. It's difficult to enforce. And then after the SOP comes out, which is not very clear, every state got their own rules, right? Some say 1 dose, okay. Some say 2 dose, okay. Some say staff 1 dose can, customer must be 2 dose. Some say staff no dose, customer must be. It's confusing out there. So this is where we need clarity and we need communication.
Okay, Mydin.
Yeah, the main
I will
thing
bring it up.
Our customers, we are there for you. We are there.
I will bring it up to the National Recovery Plan Council. Okay. Okay, Mohammed, help me. Yours is even a much more interesting, bigger challenge.
Very interesting, Dato Sri. I have about 83,000 employees altogether, all over the world, right?
This one is pening kepala tadi.
Almost half of them in Malaysia, almost 40,000 in Malaysia, right? And you bring, of course, it's easy to talk with hindsight, but bring ourselves back to March last year. Yeah, it's totally, things were totally unknown. Yeah, but what people were watching on the televisions, CNN, BBC, whatever not, right? In US, how many millions losing job every week, or that's a kind of story that people were seeing, right? So, and even for us, when the MCO started, we were not considered essential services. You imagine, we were actually asked to stop operations. You imagine, so. We as a management, I as a GMD, what we had to do was really look at, Dato Michael mentioned just now, the rainy day saving, how much we had to last. But, to last for the fund that you accumulate for 40,000 people, it won't last very long, right? Yeah. So that's the kind of thing that we had to face back in March. Yeah. But luckily with the industry lobby, we were part of the, because this industry affects millions of people, including smallholders. There's a Felda, Felcra, all those people that own small farms, right? So government then reclassified us, because if we stop operating, obviously there's no cooking oil for Dato Ameer to sell on Mydin supermarket lah. So we managed to get government to see we are actually essential services. But that doesn't stop there. People still were very worried what's going to happen to them, because I said there's a lot of people losing jobs, retrenchments, going all over the place. So the first thing that we had to do was I had to, of course, that's actually, with a good conscience, we sent out circular to all the employees. The first two things that we said we wanted to do was to protect the health of our employees. That's the first one. And second, to protect their jobs. Yeah. And we gave guarantee that we are not going to let go to retrench anybody, not a single person out of the 83,000. That's what we did, right?
Very good.
Yeah. Of course, we look at our capacity and all that. And of course, it's tough. Like I said, the first 6 months was actually tough. But to me, Dato Sri, and this is the time when you wanted the people, your employees to be with you. You want your the best people to be with you. Yeah, and I'm glad to say this. I had the full support from all levels. Of course, we have so many levels down to the last person that actually work in the farm or in the estate, right? So we had full support from all of them. They're together, and of course, to conserve cash flow, for plantation, even for 2019, our result was good. So we were supposed to pay bonus in 2020, and also the normal increment. But we had to make that decision. We could not pay any bonus, although it was for the previous year. There's no increment, but with good explanation, reasoning to our people, all of them actually accepted that. Right, but of course, when things got better, we paid some token payment to our employees. So we give back. So that's the thing that we did. But like I said just now, this fear of unknown, you have to take this away from them. This uncertainty, because otherwise it's difficult. You imagine these people, 99% of them, I don't know them personally, but you times 4 in a family, 83,000 times 4. And there's so many other people that depending on us, right? If this is like a vicious cycle. If you start something wrong here, the ripple effect will be sometimes you just cannot comprehend the kind of thing. So that's what we did, and Alhamdulillah until now, I'm very proud to say, all these people are still with us. In fact, of course, in some places we are actually recruiting now. So it's been a good story. But you talk to me 1 year ago or say 16 months ago, I wouldn't be able to tell you what the future would look like, though. That's the thing.
Bernard, the property development business has a side effect to at least 30 over industries. That's how important it is, because you have the contractor, the workers, and everything. And if you multiply, that effect is even bigger. So in terms of reacting to these workers, not just your staff, how has it been like for your company?
Well, I mean, Dato Sri, you're right. The cascading effects from the property industry is definitely immense, right? Which is why it is quite a key industry for any country. Well, the challenges besetting Masing, right, for key leaders and employees, and even our associates and workers as well. I'll cover the worker side. So ask anyone, an employee or worker, two main concerns or challenges that they face. It mirrors what Encik Muhammad Halmi mentioned, right? Safety and security. So they're concerned about their well-being, their health, their protection, them and their families. For security, they're concerned about their jobs, their livelihoods, ability to put food on the table. On the business leader side, and we are all in leadership positions and owners as well, is business continuity. Right? How do you ensure productivity? How do you ensure the engine keeps running? These two are two sides of the same coin, because if your employees don't feel secure, they don't feel motivated, there is no business continuity. Right? So that's why I like what was mentioned about, the workers are the ones who are on the front lines fighting for the company. You need to make them feel secure. What Masing did for us and our associates and so on was threefold, I would say. Number one, of course, is the hygiene factors, right? So for essential staff, of course, taking utmost care to test, to ensure sanitization of workplaces, premises, and all places of dealings with our associates. So that was one. Number two was actually we had no pay cuts, right? So Masing Tan Sri refused to entertain the notion of pay cuts. We had no retrenchments either. We had just normal attrition, which happens in good and bad times. His view was, and the leadership view at Masing was that, look, at times like this, you need the frontliners to fight for you. People are being asked to work doubly, triply hard. They will not do that if they don't feel that the company is fighting for them as well. So it wasn't an easy decision to make when when last year came around. Top management, of course, we look at cutting budgets, right? Cutting spend, expenses, how can we be more efficient? And of course, pay cuts was one of the ideas we mooted as well. But thankfully, I guess it wasn't explored. He said, look, this is probably the final thing that we will consider only if all other options failed. But thankfully, a lot of the other steps we put in place didn't see us have the need to actually go down that path. So as a result, I think you can ask any employer at Masing, definitely they are thankful. So they're willing to put in the effort as well as a result of management fighting for them and leadership and owners fighting for them. The third thing we did was diversification actually. So not many people know that Masing actually started out as a plastics manufacturer. I'm sure all of you know, but the average person in the street, the person who sees our bundings and billboards, always see Masing as a property developer. But we actually started in 1965 as a manufacturer of plastics. So manufacturing has been very core to our DNA. We still have a plastics plant together with property, but we diversified into, as you all know, like gloves. So we set up a whole new glove factory. A lot of people also announced it at that time, but we were probably the first one out the gates to actually begin production and begin selling. Our factory, in fact, was set up, I think, in record time in like 5 to 6 months in Kapar. And early this year, we've already started the production lines and we're already churning out gloves even as we speak. Why diversify? Well, to secure the company, to secure the livelihoods of not only the people who are leading it, but the people who are also working for it. So yeah, we're all pulling together and trying to put that solid footing so that we can aim for a better 2022. But so far, it seems to be working, and for that, we're glad.
Bernard, can I send a resume to your boss soon?
I don't think we can afford you, but you can send.
Okay, I want to talk about a broader subject. We want to talk about safety net, which is one of the concern of Prokeso as well. If you look at the figures that's available, it has been reported that the number of M40 has actually, M20 has slipped down to B40. I think the number that was reported was around 600,000. That's a 2019 figure. Number of middle class has actually begins to shrink this year and over the last few years. Safety net, of course, is important because that Malaysia does not have the kind of safety net which other developed countries has. We do not have sufficient support on that. There's always this feeling that as a worker, because I do not have this financial support or safety net there, I fear that I may not be able to hold on. So we hear a lot of stories over the past 1 year of how people have got to resort to borrowing, selling off their assets, and that some even have to join the food queue. I want to hear from any of you on how we can improve our safety net so that Malaysians can sort of like handle this pandemic, which we do not know how long it will last, but we hope that we will get out of it. What kind of safety net will be good for Malaysia as a whole and generally? Michael?
Safety net in the sense that they still remain to get a job. So during this pandemic, what I realized is that it's a balancing act of number of jobs reduced, but the foreign worker actually returned back to their country. So the problem was the people not ready to take over the job of that was done by the foreign workers. So I think acceptance and then lower down your ego and is very important. I think this is to manage the balance of demand and supply. So once we return back, the foreign workers went back to their home country, and then there was actually a vacuum of job vacancy in that sector. But then again, our people don't want to accept it. They prefer to actually not getting a job and then move towards the direction, what do you say, to be B40, because government give them hands up. So I would say that it is a balancing act. The government had to educate them to say that, you know, you need to actually reskill yourself and get a job rather than depending on the handout as well. So that if we give up too much handout, that will be a problem, because they will never go back to working you know, although there are vacancy available, their pay is not bad, but the title of the job is not glamorous enough for them to take it. So government had to manage that perception.
Dato Ameer?
You know, I think Pakeso generally will have done quite a good job in terms of having subsidies programs, in terms of managing our staff. I think the government came up with a couple of programs to keep people employed. There was a 500 ringgit, 600 ringgit for the first 500 employees and those kind of things, right? Of course, none of us are satisfied with the amount given, and seriously, it's not enough. But it's better than nothing, lah. It's better than nothing. Better than nothing. And there were too many. I think the main thing here is, and it's not Pakeso or whatever, the government loves to complicate things. They love to complicate. So when they complicate things, people don't understand. So even the so-called subsidy programs and all that, there's so many requirements. At the end of the day, sometimes the smaller ones who really need it, they don't get it, and it's difficult to get approval. It is better, you know, in some countries, what they do is that they say, okay, fine, this is a big issue. I'm not going to give 300 ringgit to the bujang, 500 ringgit to this, 500 ringgit to a taxi driver. See, you give and people get double and triple count, you know. Double, triple count got, people don't get also got. The easiest method for safety is that everybody, for example, who's unemployed or underemployed will get, say, 1,500 or 2,000 ringgit for a certain period of time when they're unemployed. And those who are being employed, but because the main thing is the government don't want to fire people, obviously, right? Then you give a direct amount, a fair amount, so we can keep the staff with us. So many people had to fire. I mean, fortunately, and speaking for all of us here, we were the lucky ones. We said we are not going to fire anybody. But after saying that, we told everybody, you know, times are bad. So only wait for us to work together. If you still want to be hired, you better make sure we cut our costs. Because at the end of the day, business is down. There is a balancing act. So either we reduce staff or we keep the staff, no increment, no bonus, and all those kind of things. But we have to cut costs somewhere, right? Because you know there's always some fat everywhere, lah. You know, as you grow bigger, we also employ 10,000 people. So as you grow, there's a layer of fat which can be trimmed. But I do agree that in Malaysia, our safety net is really lacking, lah. I mean, Pakeso is good. I think they can do better. They can do better so that the safety net is very, very important for any country to make sure, you know, M40 going to B40. B40, I don't know where they have gone. You know, seriously. And there's a lot of pain. And if you recall the last conversation I had with you, Dato Sri, when people start stealing kangkong and kembung, you know something is wrong somewhere. You know, so this is serious.
Encik Muhammad Helmi?
Okay. For us, this is a tough area to talk. As you know, Plantation, Dato Sri, has always been associated with very big number of foreign workers, migrant workers. And there is always this stigma about working in plantation is a 3D job, right? The dangerous, the difficult, and you know, is demeaning or whatever you call it. So locals, you know, for the past 20, 30 years, have always shied away, from working in plantation. And you know, there's always that stigma that you know is an overhang. You ask 100 people in Malaysia, you'll be lucky to get even say 10 who say they put up their hand wanting to work in plantation, right? And this is always, and this is to some extent, you know, you heard this saying, people say, don't waste a good crisis, right? And this is as good as any, maybe once in a lifetime, once in a generation, where for employers who are so dependent on foreign workers, they got no choice anymore, because you will still lose foreign workers because they want to go back to their own countries, right? Like it or not, you cannot stop them. Yeah. Now there's no new ones coming in because the borders are all closed. Yeah. And now you have the problem, the locals are not interested to work in plantation. Yeah, you know, it's a kind of perfect storm, right? That hit say industry like ours. I'm sure there are other industries in the similar category too. But this is where it started pushing. Of course, it won't be for everybody. You start thinking totally, you know, the so-called outside of the box, or no box at all. How you want to make this? You know, there is a mismatch, right? There are a lot of nations without jobs, you know, losing jobs. The new people coming into what they call age of employment cannot have jobs, and yet you have this industry where you need people, but you can't get, right? That's a mismatch here. And this provides the opportunity. Of course, we are you know, the industry leader here in Malaysia, to start thinking how innovation can actually change things. How you change the narrative of working in plantation to be different. Yes, we are providing housing for most of the workers, you know, so you have housing, nobody needs to pay any rental. You are provided that at least a very, you know, the minimum wage. That means there's a so-called safety net there, not a major issue there. But yet you cannot attract these locals. And we know if you try to attract locals to do the jobs of exactly what the foreign workers are doing, that is actually a lost cause already. No way. So you have to find ways how the jobs can be changed. Of course, like I said, you need to introduce some kind of technologies. Of course, in the past, we have even you know, been doing this in the forefront of technologies. But how we step up the games? Then this is where, for example, if I can give you one example, you know, the young people now, the Gen Y or Z, they like to, you know, to play with gadgets, right? And one of the things are actually drones. And you know, drones, of course, in the last 3 to 5 years, they have really gone many levels of innovation. And they are being now used in a lot of areas, including in agriculture. Of course, for plantation, it's a very different thing. But we know this is actually one area that we could actually work on. So we started working on this. We started, of course, working with a lot of startups. There are good startups in Malaysia, young people, who are actually into this. How can we, for example, use drones in plantation? So those are the kind of things that we started. And you know, I'm very happy to you know, to say here, we have now you know, hundreds of drones now flying in our plantation.
Fantastic.
That we never thought could be done before, right? Of course, like I said, now you can get these young people who, you know, can play with this gadget, you know, joystick, whatever. But of course, a lot of drones are actually autonomous now, but you still need the pilot. Because that's actually under the regulation. One drone must have one pilot. You can set the GPS, coordinate everything, but you must. So these are the young people, the kind of young people that now that we are attracting to come to plantation, and we are doing a lot more of this now. You know, using machines, tractors. But I said these are the ones that, of course, they need to be investment. Sometimes it's a catch-22, who starts first, a chicken and egg kind of a situation, right? So, but we, you know, brave this. We started working on this, and we are seeing the results after not long. I would say we started working on this about 10 months now, and we are starting to see these results. So this is the kind of thing, that we want to change the narrative of this, the 3Ds, stigma for plantation, to get the locals to come in. Obviously, then the pay will be different. It's no longer the normal minimum wage or whatever, because what we employ are people with, say, diploma, certificates, or even some degrees. So these are the kind of thing that must happen. We are at the early stage of this, but we'll be doing a lot more innovations, digital. We set up our own robotic units now. Yeah, we are working with many parties, not only in Malaysia, overseas universities, startups in US, in Australia, in China, yeah, to look at what other applications that we can apply, knowing that we will not have the luxury of these migrant workers for very long. In fact, this is good because we want to provide more employment to the locals. That's it.
Very good. Thank you for sharing. I want to move on to this question of engaging with your staff. The pandemic, of course, is not just a health issue, but it also has a mental stress problem. According to a survey, if I may read, by University of Malaya, it says that they did a study of 1,100 people. They found that there was high degree of depression, anxiety, and stress symptoms across. I can actually share with you a particular airline company, because they needed to engage with their staff. So they set up an app where if you have any problem, please share with us. So when they set up this app, they found that there were 2,500 staff which actually sent up their feedback on the kind of mental health that they were going through. It could be loans, fear of losing their jobs, and that they could not, they had nightmare because that they had sleeping problem, the kind of thing. So we have now come to a point where many of us have adopted this hybrid working experiences, maybe 3 days in the office, 3 days at home. I'd like to hear from Bernard, how has your company adopted the kind of working practice to ensure that everybody stay in touch, communicate? You know, working from office and working from home are actually two different things. For me personally, I enjoy working from home because there's no distraction, and that I can cut away the traveling time. But at the same time, I do miss talking to people. I like meeting people, having lunch with people. Tell us about your experience at your workplace.
Yeah, so I'm the opposite of you, Dato. I prefer working from office. I have a newborn son, so working from home is chaotic. So I like the quiet solace of the office space. But in terms of my company and what we did, we were quite fortunate actually, because in the end of 2019, we onboarded this Microsoft Teams solution, right? So for those of you who are familiar, Microsoft Teams is a collaborative software, basically, right? Allows you to work in teams, schedule meetings, have VCs, collaborate on documents, and so on. So we embarked on it in 2019. It wasn't easy, right? So we asked, so basically to get people of all different seniorities to, hey, let's use this new app. Let's use this new software. Some people took to it. Some people say, yeah, might as well just use WhatsApp. What's wrong with WhatsApp? I can WhatsApp now. So yeah. It took a few starts actually. We tried, then we tried again. By end of 2019, it picked up and usage was good. And 2020, the pandemic hit. So if we did not embark on that in 2019, right, if we only started in 2020, we would have faced a lot more problems. So that definitely helped a lot. In terms of ensuring employee mental well-being and health and so on, two things worked for my company, worked for me in particular. Number one, because of technology, we can do clear communication. So I'm sure we all agree, look, when people are fearful, when people are uncertain, when people have issues on their chest, you need to talk it out. You need to express. You need to get feedback. Nothing good ever comes from just holding it to yourself and keeping it to yourself. So having that solution that Microsoft Teams enable us to have still a lot of face-to-face. Of course, it's via the screen as opposed to in person, but it's still better than nothing. So that's one. That frequency of communication did help. Number two, humans are born to work, right? I mean, we complain about work sometimes, my staff complains about work sometimes, but we find meaning and fulfillment in work. If you don't work, if you stay idle, you can get depressed. We all know that, right? So you need to stay busy and stay active and know you're making progress. So what we found and what we have definitely done in my department and the company as well is clarity in goals and KPIs, right? So you may think that, okay, well, everybody has KPIs. No, we've done a lot of work at Masing to make sure your KPIs make sense. It is something to achieve, not task-based. Not I will do 3 campaigns, I will do 3 tasks, not checklist-based, actual performance-based KPIs. Because why? Only that is it sufficient to keep people sufficiently busy. If your KPIs you give your staff are just checklist-based, they do 3, then don't care about quality, don't care the outcome, they won't get that sense of fulfillment. And we know that if you don't achieve something, there's no dopamine being injected into your brain. Without dopamine, you won't be able to feel that sense of accomplishment and happiness as well. So I'm a firm believer that you want to be happy, stay busy at work. You want to get fulfillment from work, make sure your employees have clear-cut goals that they can sink their teeth into and try to achieve. So these two things help keep us on even keel. I like to say that we are too busy to even worry about mental health, but we pay attention to it. And thankfully, I think that the team has been performing well, as can seen by the company's performance.
Okay, Michael, you use a lot of social media to engage with your staff. Share with us.
Yeah, okay. I think the most important thing is during this pandemic is, as a leader, we cannot act very negatively because everybody is watching you. So like the Senzi Art of War, if you are in a war now with the pandemic, if you act as though that you're weakened by the pandemic, and all the staff will be very worried. So I always address them. I give them a lot of positive news. I explain to them how long it will last, how long, I even predict how long they will come up with the vaccine, and then after the vaccination, using the H1N1 scenario timeline to explain to them how long this pandemic will last and what we are going to do with it. And as long as they know that their safety is in my hand, they know that I really care for them. I really do a lot of effort to make sure that, like, for example, it was spread when they were eating, they take out their masks, then they're spreading to each other. They didn't realize that. So then we stop them from eating together. We provide food for them so that they don't go outside and tap out and bring back the virus to the office. We explain every single thing to them. So by doing so, they are assured that when they come to work, they are safe at work. So whenever we have a case, we actually swab the whole place. We don't stinge on the swab and also the sanitization and the quarantine as well. So we put them as a priority. So they know already. As a boss, they know that as an employee, they know my boss always treat me as a first priority. So that is very important to them. And I always tell them about positive. The thing that I did very positively until today, I feel, is the transformation that I did in May 2020. So we were hit by the COVID-19 somewhere in March, but May, I already did a big transformation among all the leaders, and then telling them moving forward what will happen to the company so that they keep them motivated. Okay, you see, if they think that you know that this is going to be over and you already predicted that it's going to be over and you already give them the new direction post COVID-19, what is going to happen to them, their heart actually very feel more at peace rather than do not know what is going on. What's our direction? Are we going to get our job and all that? So we make sure that they know their job is secure. And then not only that, post COVID-19, we are going to be push forward and then expand our company, and then a lot of new project in hand, preparing to take off just before the pandemic over or just right after the pandemic, also that we can take advantage of the cheap price in the construction of the warehouse at the same time. So when all this good news you feed to them, they actually become calm and they actually are able to work more efficiently. I think so. This is what is going on. From the feedback that I get from the staff, every time when I do live, they thumbs up, good job, best. All the ideas is fantastic. Dato, you really take care of us. That is the statement that you should get from your employee, to give them giving them they are the one who give you the thumbs up. They're well done. I like you as an employer. So this is the best time to do that.
Dato Ameer, for all the glitches and imperfections by the authorities, the fact is that Malaysia is slowly opening up. I can say with quite a certain authority that the sectors will open up by stages with enhanced SOP. But the understanding, I think everybody understands that Malaysia's economy needs to be on track. We cannot stay close. In preparing for the opening up of the Malaysian economy, what has your company or what are they doing to prepare for this a bigger possibility of a better business ahead?
I think let me break it up in two parts.
Sure.
I think the first part, as what we've been discussing,
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that we do here is that if any employee is hospitalized,
Mm-hmm.
I come to know about it. and I myself send a personal message. I think you know a lot of, you got 10,000 employees. Obviously, there are going to be many being hospitalized, whether it is, stage 3, stage 4. I mean, unfortunately, stage 5, then it's another storyline.
Yeah.
But a personal message will come from me directly, to say, how are you? Do you need any help? Please call me. I put my name there. Then I got people calling. Who is this, please? I am your boss, because they could be cashier, they could be security guard, they might not even know my name. I mean, it's possible. This will say, oh, Dato. Most people call Dato, they don't even know what the name of the Dato anyway, right? So, but I think that personal touch is very important. It's very important, because we have always had this policy of, in those days, early before the pandemic, anybody hospitalized, somebody must visit the staff. So that culture is very important. That actually you spend more time working than anywhere else. So actually, we are a family. And my message actually says, we are your family. Anything, let us know. And people ask, I'm stuck in my PPR flat. I don't have food. Can you send something for me? But I think the more important thing is that the word gets around that we actually care. And caring, of course, is from the heart. I think that's very important. Right? Now, to your question about the so-called more and more sectors opening. I'm always perplexed by phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and 11 sectors into phase 1, another 11 sector, phase 2, when I've always said they're no different anyway, right? Don't be God to decide who can open and who cannot open. I mean, they got 11 in phase 1. They says Parabot can open, but in phase 2 only antique shop can open. What is the difference between Parabot and antique shop? SOP is the same, right? So to me, the government likes to confuse themselves, and I don't know why they want to do this, right? So from our perspective is, if you just have strict SOPs, and people can follow SOP. Now this is the fear I have now, because 2 days ago it was announced, you can go to your barber comes to phase 1, but 2 doses. I went to my barber, after scanning my sejahtera, I walked in, I said, nobody asking my 2 doses. Ayah, susah mau tanya, orang marah. But I said, that is your SOP. That is your SOP. See, the issue and the most challenge in Malaysia is that people don't follow. And this is the fear I had. I'm all for opening up. And I understand where the government sometimes comes from. They say, I'm okay. Government says, I'm also okay. But people don't want to follow. And a lot of things happen out there. It's not only that. Even the goldsmith shop, so busy want to do sales after so long, they never ask for anything, But I walked around in town to see what's happening, because I also see one of those panels. We want to know what is the real thing. We don't want to go overboard by telling the government, open, when we know it will come back, and we definitely don't want to go back. But my only take on this is that, Malaysian, please follow. You don't have a choice. This is the new norm. We can live with it. Okay, we can live with it. And if you want to open up, please live with it. Otherwise, we are going to be back to square one.
Okay, Tuan Muhammad Helmi, we are coming towards the end of the year, and we need to, like all companies, we are making plans for next year. Share with us what's happening ahead of you.
Okay, I think my reply will be related to your earlier question. How do we face this situation? Opening up or closing, MCO, whatever, NRP phase 2, phase 3, and this kind of thing, right? So I think the key here is about, if I were to summarize, it will be 2 things, Dato' Sri. One is how we communicate. I'm sure you are, this is your where you are the expert. How we communicate very consistent messaging to our people, and how you control that, because this is where a lot of issues, the misunderstanding, the fear, the ambiguity. So this is where for us, we control the messaging very, very carefully, very, very tightly. And so people, this is always, like I said, if we were to bring ourselves back 1 year ago or 14 months ago, about the fear of the unknown, right?
Yes.
So now our messaging is obviously we believe, and we know that, of course, it's there. You read, you watch the television. COVID is here to stay, regardless. Yeah. Okay. So this is where once people get that into their mindset, yeah, then how do we prepare ourselves? Obviously, if you look at what's happening in this country or even elsewhere, yeah, we strongly believe, yeah, I mean the science, the data actually shows that if you are fully vaccinated, not that you cannot catch COVID, you will still catch COVID, but chances of you to go to that, the serious category will be lower, right? And percentage also you can see that. So the first step that we have taken for our people, not only in Malaysia but elsewhere, yeah, of course, in Europe, it's a bit difficult. Yeah, the anti-vaxxers movement or protection of personal data make it a bit more complicated because we have our operations in Europe too. Yeah, but at least in this part of the world where we are, the biggest actually here, Indonesia and everywhere else, Thailand and all that, we want as many people to get vaccinated. Yeah?
Yes.
And there's nothing better than obviously we ourselves as the leaders, me and the level below, to show that. Yeah. So at the first opportunities, we ourselves, yeah, and make it public, we go for vaccination, right? Of course, we use the social media, our IG, all that kind of thing to publicize that. Yeah. And we also take the proactive approach ourselves as Samdadi Plantation. Yeah. Because even currently, as we are talking right now, yeah, we have our PPV in my building here. I'm in the office now, yeah, in Arah Damansara. We started this PPV for the OKU, for the people with disabilities more than 2 months ago, with OKU Central. Yeah, so it is actually here in our HQ. Yeah, it is still running. It's actually a drive-through. Yeah, so we went all out to support them. So even for plantation industry, we actually the first one to vaccinate our workers. Yeah, that's actually the first industry PPV for plantation in Bestari Jaya, and we are doing very aggressively. So what we are trying to send a message, yeah, we have to be prepared for this. This is a new normal. Yeah, we have to get as many people to be vaccinated, and we just have to deal with it. Yeah, so that's basically the way that going forward, that we have set the stage for the company. We will operate this way. Yeah, change is concerned. There'll be something new that we don't know that will come 2 months, 3 months later. Yeah, so we are prepared for that.
Bernard, what is Masing doing and preparing ahead of 2022?
Well, for Masing, our tagline, if you may know, is reinvent spaces, enhance life, right? And I think this crisis or this pandemic has given us a real opportunity to live up to those values and ideals. So we are going back to the drawing board and revisiting how we design our products, how we design our properties, how we design our spaces. The buzzword in property development circles over the past, 5 years plus, 10 years, was placemaking, right? So placemaking basically talks about the activation of space with a community tinge to it. So how do you create spaces where it promotes the mingling, interaction of elements as well as people within those spaces? So of course, you all know with the pandemic now that is sort of no longer as relevant. People don't want it anymore. The emphasis now is actually on homemaking. The home has become a more important part in people's lives. People used to be downsizing, I can make do with a very small space. Everything else I can get outside. But now they realize the importance of a home. So homemaking is about making a home which is more personal, more versatile, because it doubles up as a workspace and a personal area as well, and also more confined and secure. Right? So it's a big shift in how we are visiting, how we design our products and spaces. And stay tuned, we will have new launches next year and the years after, which would see this come to fruition. So we're really quite excited about that new introduction of new concepts into the market.
That's really good. I'd like to conclude this session with you guys as the industry leaders to share a small short thoughts with to your customers, to Malaysians general, your staff, to conclude this program ahead of 2022. What is your final words to them? We start off with Michael.
To fellow Malaysians, I think now is the time for you to prepare yourself to get back to work. Those people who have just graduated and then you found that your industry is already gone, reskill yourself, be prepared to go into different type of jobs as well. For the corporate company, you know recovery is coming because we are now moving towards a direction. 50% of our total population will be fully vaccinated by 31st of August, maybe 1st of August or 2nd August the most, based on the current rate. So, and then you compare it with the UK and the France, what situation they are facing. Of course, many rumors will come and say Delta variant is no good and whatnot, but 99.8% of variant in UK is Delta variant, and they are fully opening up. You saw the match between Man United and Leeds United, right? The nobody is wearing masks and they were cheering at nobody, and the cases went up, but the death is very small. So we had to live with COVID-19. So we had to accept the fact, live with COVID-19 and prepare for the recovery to come.
Ameer?
You know, I want to say something here, which is that
Please.
basically, I think many of us here, forgetting Bernard down there on my screen, many of us here, you know, while we were working the last few years, we were cursing the millennium people, you know. We were saying, you know, these people, you know, they are the so-called the Starbucks, you know, they don't want to work hard enough, you know, they were, I would say maybe a spoiled lot, because getting life too easy, father's money, mother's money, or whatever money, right? And the best part about this COVID crisis was that they actually suffered. They actually lost their job. Just like how we have come up, I think, I'm sure many of us, the hard way, you know, the hard way. We have actually come up the hard way. 1999, we went down. 2008, we went down, and we came up again. And this millennium generation were kind of born with a silver spoon, you know. But these crises have actually hardened them up. And I'm actually very happy about this crisis, you know, that because we have hardened up our future leaders, you know, when you harden up your future leaders, you know your future is going to be very great, you know. And I think this is where I'm very positive about Malaysia, because we have suffered, and I can see that the future is going to be very bright, because these are going to be our leaders. And I always say, of course, don't give up. Don't give up. If you fall, the harder you fall, that means the faster you can get up. I mean, nowadays, don't worry too much. Be positive. Keep being positive. Get away from all these negative people. You know, in any organization, seriously, even in Mydin, you know, there's so many negative people, you know. So all you got to do is harm into them, get them out. If they're negative, actually you should fire them, seriously, you know. Be positive, because positivity breeds positivity, right? And Malaysia is one of the few multiracial countries. You know, the culture itself is so rich, the diversity, you know, we learn from our culture because we all have ingrained culture in us, you know, okay? And this is what is helping Malaysia. You know, not only that we have got palm oil, you know, we've got oil, all those kind of things, but the people, and the future, of course, is the people. So I'm very positive about this, and I think we will move forward. Malaysia will be there. We might want to change some politicians up and down, but forgetting
Yes.
the political scenario, which I know will happen. I know will happen because we are very peaceful lot, right? But like I always say, I tenang, jangan sangka tiada buaya.
Okay. All right, Muhammad Helmi, your shot.
Yeah, okay. I probably want to end with this, Dato Sri. I think for all of us here and our employees, we are probably the lucky ones. But there are not everybody is actually in the same boat. There are so many people who are actually suffering out there. They lost their jobs. Some of the jobs actually gone for good, right? They may not even come back. There are a lot of people actually in that predicament, in that situation. And the least that we could do for us or even employees to feel this empathy for these people, right? And do what we can. Little things actually make a difference to these people. Yeah, as a corporation, we can do what we can. I'm sure all of us are doing everything. But even for, for us, we're trying to advocate this for us and our people to do a lot more work for the society out there. Those people who are really affected by this, and not only about this white flag thing. There's so many other things that really need assistance from those people who can afford to give that kind of assistance. So even the little hours that we can spend, which we are encouraging our people to do that in their own time or even in company's time, that will make some difference to these people. So we are advocating that. But of course, for us, because like I said, we are in Plantation, we operate in many states in the country. We still need people to work for us. So I welcome any Malaysians who are there in Pahang, in Sabah, in Sarawak, Kedah, Johor, wherever. They should know our hotline. They can call. We need Malaysians to come. We have place, of course, like Dato Michael mentioned, they need to reskill. We are providing this opportunity. And I'm sure there are other companies who will be hiring very soon. But they have to keep an open mind, reskill. But that negativity that Dato Ameer mentioned just now, we have to put that aside. And things will get better, inshallah. So I really especially urge our fellow nations to look forward for this.
Bernard, the voice of the young and our hope for Malaysia.
Not that young anymore, so I'm sort of the millennial generation that Dato Ameer just mentioned. Okay, I will have two parting comments address. So I think this session will be viewed by quite a lot of people, right? As Dato Sri's sessions mostly are. The first group I want to address are the leaders, the people in power, and this ties back to the discussion we had about safety net. So safety net, EPF, ICNA, all those is great, it's necessary. But it's like trying to put out a burning building with a little water hose, a water gun, right? There's a building, a 2-story building on fire. That building is a safety net. Why is it disappearing? You look at your top level, our wages, Malaysian wages are just too low, right? Income levels are just too low to allow people to afford a reasonable safety net. Why are income levels low? Look at the ground floor, right? What's supporting that? Our productivity per worker is just too low. We are multiple times behind, like Singapore, for example. So productivity is just too low. Why is productivity low? Look at the foundation of the building, education. Something needs to be done about our education system here. Structurally, content-wise, politically, something needs to be done. If not, I think that the country would face more turmoil or more headwinds in the future. Once you get those things right, then the rakyat will have a safety net. So that's for the leaders who are listening in. We are relying on you to get things done. This needs to be fixed. Number two, I'll address the young people. So not Gen Z and younger, right? For that, I'll just quote Steve Jobs. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Right now, things may seem bleak, but there would be opportunities coming, just like a forest fire. A forest fire is very destructive, but it's also a time of renewal. Out with the old, out with the unproductive, out with the inefficient, and in with the new. So once this pandemic is past, you guys are the new that will come in and lead the country. So stay hungry, stay foolish. Like what Dato Ameer mentioned as well, use this opportunity to harden yourself, to learn, to set yourself up for what is to come, because what is to come will invariably be good as long as you stay hungry and stay foolish. So two groups of audiences who I want to address and say something in closing.
Well put, Bernard. As they say that in every crisis, there's an opportunity. In every dark clouds, there are silver linings. When we have competing political forces, which doesn't have a strong majority, they may need to listen to us. They are forced to listen to us. And as Bernard, as you say, that it's time for new ways to be done, new changes, whether it's structural or whether it's policy, we really need all these changes, new ways, freshness, and new productivity to make Malaysia competitive. And when we are competitive, it will be good for our businesses and of course for the workers and the staff and for the country. With that, I like to say that to all Malaysians, I'm very optimistic for the country, but we need to work very hard. And that is the message for our leaders. Please listen to us. That's the only way that you can stay in power. If you must listen to us. To to everyone, thank you for joining in this lively discussion. Dr. Michael Teo, Dr. Ameer, Tuan Muhammad Helmi, and of course, Bernard Yong, my friend. Please, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, Professor. Thank you very much. And stay with us. Stay safe. Thank you.